and gentlemen, to the eighth wonder of the world.
All right, welcome back to the Snell Show. Today we're talking about how you, as the consumer, can tell the story of wine. There are three very important things that you should look out for when you're tasting wine that I believe are the, three cornerstones that really matter when you're tasting a wine, so that you, as the consumer, can tell the story of it through those three steps. So the first step with this is sight, like I said. So you want to give it a little swirl. Not only does it look cool, but it's actually important for the second step. A lot of times you can call it just the light test. You can just hold it like this and try and see if you can actually see through the wine to the surface of the table. In this case, you can. In other cases, you can't. When you taste a real, rich cab, you're not going to be able to see through it because it's so, like I said, dark and rich. So on this one, it's a little bit lighter, so I expect a medium-bodied taste when we actually get to the third and final step. Second is the most important, I honestly believe. When you're tasting wine, it's just as important that you smell it than you drink it. So many people don't understand that it's the most important thing when you're tasting wine. If you can take anything out of this, smell your wine before you drink it. I just give it a little swirl, and I smell. How rich is it? So what I smell this way is hints of licorice, a little bit of cherry. It's medium bodied, a little dark. There's a little bit of spice there. But like I said, a lot of berries and licorice are what I see as the tasting notes so far. So you really want to sit on it and give it a good smell. So we're moving through the story of this wine. So after smelling it for a while, you really get into the wine and understand different notes. So we're going from region to specific characteristics of that grape. So we're moving along telling the story. Now the last part of tasting, and the third, is texture. What does it not only feel like, how dense and heavy is it in your mouth, but also what is the texture. Obviously, when you, how does it explode? I characterize texture as the explosion after you swallow or spit it out. A lot of times when you're tasting wine, you'll spit it out. If you're tasting a lot in a day, and get carried away really fast. So a lot of times you have to have a bucket to spit it out. Since we're only tasting the Matsu Piccolo today, we're just going to taste once and see what the explosion is like after it goes down the hatchet. So like I said, we're going to go through all three real quick. We're going to check it out. What are we looking at here? Obviously medium bodied, a little bit of legs, not too much. Aroma, berry, and licorice dominant so far. Seems medium bodied on the nose and on the palate as well. Lastly, the final step is going to be that texture. Here we go, the most important part and exciting part. Here we go. So like I said, you want to go through all three when you're tasting wine. When you're really trying to sink into a wine, you want to do all three of those steps so you can really process it in your mind and tell the story. Like I said, it's really important that you can tell the story in your own words. And people taste different things, and everyone's palate is different. Not everyone, everyone won't enjoy the same $300 bottle of wine. Different people in their maturation, their palates are different, and they prefer different things. So that's really important to note as well, that you don't, just because wine is expensive doesn't mean you have to like it. A lot of times it just has to do with what you like to taste. And if I am a huge Twizzlers fan, and I love Twizzlers, and that's why I love red vines and licorice is my thing, I would probably love this wine. Whereas somebody else who's not crazy about licorice and berry isn't going to be crazy about it because it does not suit their palate. So it's really important to note that wine is not about the price point a lot of the time. It's about the tasting notes, and you have to tell the story of the wine and see if it's compatible with your palate. Ultimately, that's what this is all about in the first place. So we're going to see what we're thinking of here.
Based on that step 3, it had a very bitter aftertaste that did not give much explosion. So overall, it's a solid Spanish red, not too bad, but also it wasn't great. Based on those 3 steps, I could tell the story and that it was from Spain, and it was a solid Spanish red. But overall, like I said, it was nothing special. I could tell it was a $15 bottle because there was no character after I tasted it. There was no explosion, nothing stayed in my mouth. I couldn't taste that character of the wine after it finally went down the hatchet. So overall, solid bottle, nothing special. I would give it a 5.3.
Thanks for coming out tonight.